Welcome, Monday Night Messiahs, to Geek Salad. Tonight we are talking. It's our annual time because that's right, baby. WrestleMania is here. WrestleMania 36, the COVID-19 WrestleMania, baby.
Yeah, brother.
Today, the American Dream has got on with us. Not only our good friend Mike, but we also have Mr. Michael Rossi, if you will.
Yay. What's going on? Good to be here. Good annual tradition.
It's good though. The most high-profile empty arena match was with the AWA when Jake the Milkman Milliken won the turkey at a pole match, if you will. And now, that's right. WrestleMania 36 will be held in an empty arena on Saturday and Sunday night. 8 matches apiece.
We should point out it is empty arena on purpose. It's not an empty arena because nobody bothered.
All right. So, Rossi, let me ask you a question, buddy. Do you think this is a good idea? Do you think that they could have just delayed this or essentially made SummerSlam WrestleMania?
So I've been back and forth on it. I think that the big thing that they can really get out of this is you might get more of the lapsed fans in that wouldn't watch it normally because there's nothing else going on. The only thing that I've noticed with that, though, is the ratings for the last few weeks of their regular programming has been like in the toilet. So I don't know where the hype's coming from, but I think what's been really smart about how they've done it is how they've linked up with Fox and ESPN to do a lot of the advertising for them. With Fox doing the pay-per-view stuff for them now, and then ESPN, who's been airing the Manias the last couple Sundays. It's been good advertising, and when you look at the fact that the network's free for new subscribers, I think you might get a lot of people. I think that the only problem is everybody's used to it. You know, that's a lapsed fan being on Sunday, so they might not pick up on the fact that it's Saturday as well until it's too late, and then just not care about it. So I can go both ways with it. I mean, obviously, it's not going to have like your typical Mania feel, but I think when you look at it, you know, it's going to give people entertainment that they don't have coming from any other means. That's not like a pre-recorded, you know. So I think that that should help them, you know, maybe get more viewers than they would otherwise. You know, it's just a lot of bummed people out there. But I mean, the good thing is we've got this to look forward to now, and after that, what's the next live sporting event type thing we're going to ever see? So who knows?
True.
I think I like the idea.
I've actually heard that I think that might be me on your end. I think that I've also heard too that they might be taking a break after this. That there will be a break in between wrestling for a while.
I know. Reset. I know they taped the Raw after already because obviously everything for Mania is already in the can. But they were hoping that the ban would be lifted to go live for SmackDown next week. So I think once you get through the NXT show. NXT is taped through the 15th. But other than that, I don't think that there'll be much of a chance for them to do anything unless they find a different building. Like AEW, for instance, was shooting in Atlanta yesterday or somewhere near Atlanta. So I don't know if they can find another state that they can facilitate some stuff. But I think that they would have lost enough of the roster at this point. They might not be able to record for the next couple of weeks.
True. I think it's a good idea to let everybody just kind of take a break.
Yeah, and you can replay Mania on the Raw and SmackDown for the next couple of weeks and kind of get more eyeballs on it too. So I don't think there's any positive to really going live after this.
I agree. So let's get down to the matches themselves. Now I'm pulling my list off of Bleacher Report, and Bleacher Report essentially is kind of predicted where the matches are going to fall in terms of what shows up on Saturday night and what shows up on Sunday night. And I think they're going to give you a decent blend of quality matches. So there isn't going to be like Saturday is the B night and Sunday is the A night. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that seems right. I mean, what I was listening to Meltzer today, and he was talking about how they haven't released a schedule yet because they're still putting it together.
Yeah.
Because they really want to nail like 3 hours and 15 minutes, 3 hours and 30 minutes for each night. So they're still piecing it all together. So I would expect an announcement on matches tomorrow.
Yeah.
That's what the schedule would be.
Do you think that if they need to fill time that they'll actually show like classic Mania matches in between other matches?
I don't think they will because with it all being taped, last week or whenever it was, then they should be able to get it to the level they want. Whether that's mixing like more video packages and stuff in. I'm sure that they have a way to pace it all out, and we'll probably see a couple of these that'll be some pretty long matches, as well as when you start looking into the card, there's a couple of them that are going to be off-site and wacky, so those could be longer than the other ones.
Yeah. And not to mention every one of these is going to have a video package behind it.
Yeah, and that'll play to the lapsed fan, like I was talking about earlier. Like, I think they're going to go into this Mania really expecting that a lot of the viewers don't watch the normal product, so we might see more of like the full blown packages. I mean, they always do that at a Mania, anyways, which prolongs the show. But I think it might be turned up a little bit this year.
Yeah. All right. Well, let's start with the predicted Saturday night performances. We'll start with Intercontinental Championship. Daniel Bryan versus Sami Zayn. Mike, Rossi, you're our guest. Who do you think's taking this one?
So, I think this is one that I can see the heel going over. So I could see Zayn leaving with the title. I mostly think that because I expect Bryan to be one of the few that'll like kind of refuse to work post Mania for a little while. Because he's got Breeze pregnant and all that fun stuff. So I think that when we start going through the predictions here, I would expect it to be a pretty heavy babyface type of show because they want to make sure the watchers, the viewers, happy. But I think this is one that, based on the fact that you probably won't have Bryan really readily available to you if they do decide to tape forward after this, I would expect this to be one that Zayn continues with the title. I almost feel like the Zayn title run would mean nothing if he didn't at least get one big retain in here. And I don't know whether it's Gulak turning on Bryan or what happens there, but I would expect Zayn to walk out with the title.
Yeah. Mike, what about you?
Well, I'm just looking over the picks with on CBS here.
Yeah.
I mean, they've got Daniel Bryan taking it, but I don't know if Gulak does kind of like turn on Bryan, then they could be setting that up for a future like Bryan Gulak match. And if they do that, like a revenge match like that, you probably don't want to have the belt on the line for that. So, I mean, I guess it kind of makes a little bit more sense for Zayn to walk out with it.
Yeah.
But I mean, Bryan is still really popular, so
yeah. Even if you don't do the Gulak turn here because they kind of just got together, you'd be setting up the potential for matches with Cesaro, matches with Shinsuke. So I don't see the feud ending just with this. It just kind of started. So I don't think they're going to flip the title here.
Yeah. I mean, the thing is that Gulak and Bryan had literally a balls out amazing match at Elimination Chamber. And literally balls out. So I think that there's a really good program to be had there. However, if Bryan does take this, I think Sammy's going to win, mainly because of chicanery. And Shinsuke, I know Cesaro is not performing, but Shinsuke might be there. He's got to honky tonk his way into this win. I think eventually Bryan's going to get the title, and hopefully that ignites a feud with him and Shinsuke, because that's like the money feud we haven't gotten yet, and maybe Shinsuke's saving grace at this point.
Yeah, I mean, his contract's up soon, I believe. So they're definitely going to probably make a move with him sooner than later, seeing how that's kind of been their MO lately, is to heavy push someone at the end of their contract to try to woo them into signing. So, yeah, I mean, we haven't really seen a prolonged match out of Shinsuke and Bryan, and that's honestly probably Bryan books his own storylines. So I think that, the money for him would be in Cesaro and Shinsuke matches, or just one of them. And I mean, the Zayn gimmick would be ruined if he lost the title this quick, I think. So it just makes a lot of sense for me on paper for Zayn to retain here.
Yeah. All right. Next match for the Rare Championship, we've got Bliss Cross Applesauce, their literal name, Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross versus the Kabuki Warriors. Mike, what do you think?
I think. Do you want to? Which one are we talking there?
Yeah, because the two Mikes here.
Sorry, I will refer to Mike Rossi. I'll refer to you as Rossi. Mike, I'll refer to you as Mike.
Gotcha.
Okay. It's in the bottom chyron there. So
true.
Yeah. Kabuki Warriors versus Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross. You know what? I kind of like Alexa Bliss and Nikki Cross for this one. I think the title is going to switch, and I think it'll. I don't like that name Bliss Cross Apple. No,
that's cringe.
Yeah, but I can see them getting the push, so I think they'll take the titles on this one.
Okay, Rossi.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think that it's time to give them the belts. I think they had it once already. I'm not sure.
They did.
These have been so uninformed. I mean, even though Asuka and Kairi have been like, they're just a good tag team. They don't have tag title matches, so what does it really matter? Yeah, I mean, I think that you're going to see Peyton and Billy back at some point, probably post-Mania. I know that there was talk that they were repackaging them into some sort of a change in the gimmick, so I think them coming in as heels and feuding with Alexa and Nikki Cross would make a ton of sense. Plus, it seems like they've been kind of setting Asuka up for a singles run again. Kairi's had a ton of injury issues the last few months. So I think back to what I was saying, that a lot of people are going to be leaving this show happy with a ton of babyface wins. I think Alexa's pretty popular. Nikki Cross is getting there. So I think this is the time to switch those titles, and whether they do anything with it out of the show is the next question.
Yeah, I think Asuka is. I think she really thrives. I mean, she's a good tag team, but she really thrives in singles, and I think they should move her back there.
Yeah, and the entire build has been built around just Asuka. Kairi hasn't even been around, so I know she got married recently or whatever, but she hasn't been there. So I think that the way they've been putting a ton with Asuka as a single lately, you're going to see her have a singles run out of this. And then, at that point, you don't really need her with the tag titles.
Right. I'm with you guys that Bliss and Cross win. And mainly because you're right. They're bringing back the Iconics. And also, I think what's going to end up happening is you can easily write Kairi off of this if Asuka turns on her.
Yeah, and then they could feud, which is probably
completely. And
I mean, Kairi's been an unnatural heel anyways, so I think that you really want to get her back on the babyface side, whether she's lightly used or not. She's just miscast right now.
The thing is, though, I loved her heel turn. I loved what she was doing with Asuka. But you're right. The Pirate Princess gimmick was actually, at least in NXT, it was really over. And we know there's NXT over, and then there's main roster over. But I mean, Kairi is a phenomenal worker, and I think SmackDown is in desperate need of more talent outside of Bayley and Sasha.
Yeah, for sure. And I don't know if they're going to redraft it anytime soon, or they're going to wait till the fall. But they need to get some infusion of talent there. And at the same time, you can kind of build up Alexa and Nikki for whatever's next by having them run with the tag titles on that show for a little bit.
Yeah, put them against the Iconics. Put them against. Nia's coming back pretty soon.
Yeah, and you got Tamina there. Yeah.
So, all right. Next up on this, Elias versus King Corbin. I'll start with this. I feel so bad for Elias because Corbin in this. They are so hot to push him, and it's just like I think he could get over if they would just lay off of him. But that 5-month run, that 5-month program with Roman just destroyed anything special about him.
Yeah. I mean, I like Corbin more than most do, which has kind of been a fault of my own, but I just always felt like they've just kind of never pushed him right. Like the King thing's wicked wonky, but this is definitely the Rob Gronkowski match. Whether it's Corbin wins and then Gronkowski, comes in for some sort of a 2-on-1 beatdown with Mojo after, I don't know. But this is something that I was talking to a buddy about this today. This could be something that ends up on like the Fox pre-show if they decide to do one match on that, because you've got the Gronkowski thing, and that could be a way to get the casual viewer involved. But I mean, this match was made by Greg, kind of came out of nowhere. No one was even talking about either of these guys having a match. But this could be because there was no battle royal that they put them in a match together. But Gronkowski made this match with Mojo. Probably going to see a program with Corbin and Mojo and Gronk at some point down the road, whether that's a SummerSlam thing or what. But I think Corbin's going to win, and then something will happen with Mojo and Gronk post match. But it also wouldn't surprise me if Mojo and Gronk cost them, and then Elias gets the W.
Yeah. How about you, Mike?
I think Corbin's probably going to take this one. I mean, if I had my druthers, I would love to see maybe Gronk come in and do like some kind of interference with Corbin, and he kind of gets the win by default, by DQ or whatever. And that would be a nice way to set up a nice feud between those two.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think just kind of all things being equal, I think Corbin could use a little bit more of a push, because he deserves better than he's been getting lately.
The thing is, they've invested a lot of time in him. He's not. I wouldn't say this guy hasn't been pushed. I think he's been over pushed to his own detriment.
Yeah.
I'm not a fan of go out, play the guitar, insult the home team's, the hometown team, and then wrestle. And first of all, that doesn't work at all in an empty arena match, face or heel. But
no, I mean, Corbin is definitely somebody that he ran the feud with Reigns, and the last tail end of that, he was obviously on the losing end. I think that if you're going to set him up for a longer feud with Mojo and Gronk, you need him to win here. Elias has been involved in the last few Manias, but pretty much as a foil to Cena, which is on a big scale. So clearly they like him, but they don't seem to ever really get behind him as far as like the wrestling side goes. It's more of a character. So I just can't see them giving him like a clean win. If he wins, it's going to be something screwy, but I think ultimately they're better off with Corbin coming out of this looking somewhat strong. But who knows? I feel like this is the least important match of anything on this show.
Yeah.
There's no consequence to this match.
I think Corbin needs some wins. I mean, they've been screwing him over. I expect especially the whole thing with Reigns. They've been kind of screwing him with that. So yeah, granted, Vince doesn't always do what's best for the wrestler, but he really could use a win.
Yeah, he could also use a major image overhaul too. I think the gimmick he needs to get that gimmick scrubbed completely. He's the king this year. Last year he was the world's most evil bartender.
Look at TJ Friday's waiter.
He did.
But I mean, that's the thing, is he came off
best.
Yeah, he beat Angle at Mania last year. You can't have him come back this year and lose to Elias.
Yeah. So, all right. So next up is this is what I've heard. It's the ladder match for the SmackDown Tag Team Championship. According to Bleacher Report, they're still calling it for the New Day, the Usos, and Miz and Morrison. Miz is out. Morrison is wrestling by himself, and I think the most current thing I heard about this was it's going to be one of the Usos, which God bless you if you can tell them apart, versus Morrison.
Yeah, so I've heard mixed things. Like I've heard that it was definitely just those two, and then there was some rumblings that one of the members of the New Day was involved as well. Which
there's no question
that would be great. And then you think about that on paper, and you've got Kofi and the two other, the Uso and Morrissey. You might end up having a hell of a match. But even with Big E, I feel like Big E can do a lot of the power spots in a ladder match. So either way, I don't think Miz and Morrison are going to lose the titles here. It just seems like they're just getting behind him here, and the New Day and the Usos are kind of bulletproof as it is. But I mean, it's such a weird situation with it being potentially a three-way singles match that I don't even really know. And I mean, Morrison wouldn't even have to get pinned to lose the titles in this. So it's a tough one to really predict because this could really be like an open-ended coin flip here across the board. But if I was to, pick a winner, I would say Morrison and Miz are still champs coming out of Mania.
I agree. I think that they, like I said, the Usos and the New Day are bulletproof at this point. I do think, though, if outside of him being sick, there is no excuse for Kofi not to be at Mania, especially after last year. I mean, he deserves a Mania slot every day until he retires.
Agree.
Especially after what happened in October with him and Brock. So
yeah, and I mean, I still feel like there's legs in the New Day doing some sort of a split at some point down the road. Like, I'm ready for Big E to have a singles run. I think he's good enough to get it done. When Kofi won the title last year, that was fully how I was expecting him to lose it, and then the Brock thing happened, which was what it was. But I mean, I just when Woods comes back, I feel like that might be a time to do the split. They're still over as an act, but it's not the level it used to be. So I feel like they really have a ton of money in Kofi, and they need to get back to that as opposed to just having them in like mid-card tag feuds.
Yeah, Mike, how about you?
Yeah, I agree with you guys. I think Miz and Morrison will keep it. I just don't see any benefit in giving it to either the Usos or New Days. I mean, both of them are good teams. They can walk out of this still, scot free. And it's just a matter of it doesn't benefit anyone if they take the belts.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, now what I'm thinking might be match of the night. If it's not this ladder match, and again, I think it's contingent on all three teams being in that ladder match. Match of the night, from my money, is probably going to be Kevin Owens versus Seth Rollins.
Should be. These guys have always had good matches when they've been given the chance to do it without a bunch of BS, and it seems like Rollins might be the last person standing from his stable at this point with the AOP injury and Murphy. I don't know if he's even around. I haven't seen him on TV in a bit. So this match would strongly benefit from it just being a good old-fashioned mano-a-mano singles match. They haven't really had that this entire feud. There's always been tag matches and some BS involved. So Owens is going to win, in my opinion. Rollins... Yeah. From what I'm hearing, Rollins is taking time off after this. Whether this entire situation changes that, I think him and Becky were going to get married or something. They were both supposedly having time off, which we'll get into that with the women's match. But I think Owens, I mean, they clearly like Owens. And I think you got to really start to get behind him and see what you have with him as a babyface. If you keep having him in the 50-50 booking, then it's never going to change. So you need to really get behind him, give him some time, and they've been playing up the card about how Rollins is like the new Mr. WrestleMania. He's never lost in a Mania match, or never. He did the Orton match, but he's always won his last match at a Mania. So I think that should kind of be transferred over to Owens, who on the flip side has had a poor WrestleMania record to this point. So I think that this is one of those situations where you get Rollins a loss and you make Owens look a lot better because last year he beat Brock. So it makes Owens feel like a bigger deal than he's even been pushed as. And I think, the time is now to get behind Owens and actually do something with him.
Yeah, I agree completely. How about you, Mike?
Well, I've never been the biggest Owens fan, but I agree with Rossi. I think if you're going to do anything with him, now is the time to do it. Especially if like you said, Rollins is going to take time off. I mean, Rollins has had his WrestleMania moments. He's had more than a few. And I think if you're gonna give Owens a push, you might as well do it at WrestleMania.
Yeah, I think that for me, it's Kevin Owens all the way. He's always been that guy who could officially take the Stone Cold persona. They even gave him the Stunner, for God's sakes. And it's it is time to get behind him. Obviously we're going to get into who's going to win. The Drew Brock match, but there is going to come that point where you'll have a heel champion again, and that's when I think you skyrocket Owens, because at this point right now he's a face or a tweener. I think it's going to be very hard to turn him heel again because of all of the fan goodwill that he's gotten over like the last year. I mean, when he was like that unofficial part of the New Day for 2 weeks before they just like, Vince was like, wait a second, he's fat, he's a bad guy. I really felt like, he shows a lot of potential as a face. He is a really part like him. I love those vignettes of him, like, eating the pineapple pizza and everything before his comeback. As for Buddy Murphy, Rossi, I do believe that Vince found out that he was under 6 feet tall, so that's why he hasn't been on TV in a while.
Yeah. The other thing with Owens too is like when he first got moved back over with the babyface run, he was like the top babyface at the time. Since then, Drew's flipped. He's now their top baby. Aleister Black is the big Heyman project, and we'll talk about his match later. So that's kind of buried Owens down the depth chart a little bit. He's been in a high profile feud, but it's been like as a tag team with Joe, working with the War Raiders, whatever they're called now. So they just haven't really been able to, hitch the wagon to them. They probably still won't coming out of this because you've got Edge on Raw too. But there's so many matches you can still do with Owens, and even if it's just a mid-card run with like the U.S. title or whatever, there's a lot that can be done with him that just they haven't been able to get behind as a true single. And I think, like I was saying earlier, it's the time now.
Yeah, and I think Owens' fortunes will probably change if anything changed with the Saudi deal, because Owens doesn't go in solidarity with Sammy. So and that is going to affect a lot of the guys that are going to get that main event push. Is that you don't go to Saudi, you're not going to go to we're not going to push you that high. With Bryan being the obvious exception to that because he's Daniel friggin' Bryan.
Yeah, and he's been like I was saying earlier, Bryan's in like the creative side of his storylines. So he at this point he's fine with not even being that title push. But yeah, that definitely hurts Owens and guys like Zayn for sure.
Yeah. All right, next up, we've got the Firefly Funhouse match. John Cena versus The Fiend Bray Wyatt. All right, Rossi, I'm very interested in hearing your thoughts on this.
So, I mean, it's a big rehab spot for Bray. The Goldberg thing kind of crushed him, and this is their chance to bounce back with it. Now, whether this match is going to be something anybody takes seriously is the question. But anytime you can beat a John Cena at a Mania, it's going to obviously look good. From what I'm hearing, they're shooting this like a movie. It's going to have a lot of wonky stuff. There might even be potential. This is probably the time that you pull the trigger on. Maybe Bray starts the match as Bray, and then it becomes The Fiend later on. With the fact that it's a pre-taped show, this is the time to do something like that because you can edit that all together. So, I mean, as long as it's entertaining, like when my big knock on Bray Wyatt is the fact that he's always been an amazing character, but this guy's been in like 3 or 4 of the worst match of the year polls over the last decade. And some of it's been his fault, some of it hasn't. But if this turns into like that, House of Horrors match that he did with Orton, then this will just be a huge turd of a match. But if they get creative with it, Cena's happy to be doing it, and he's got a lot of creative input with it, this could be awesome.
Yeah,
I'm just skeptical of the off-site type matches, which this is going to obviously be one of them. But it's like I don't know what the rules of the match are, so it's tough for me to really, sink my teeth into this. And I'm just hoping that they edit it together to have it be something that's kind of cool to watch. But Bray's definitely leaving this match with a W. Cena winning makes no sense to anybody involved because we probably won't see him again until Mania next year.
Yeah. I'd actually heard one really great theory that because it's pre-filmed, what they're going to do is that the Fiend is going to lock him in the mandible claw, get him down, but before he knocks him out, the lights go out. Lights come back up, and Cena is just in his old Lycra shorts from when he first debuted during the Ruthless Aggression era. Entirely
possible because everybody that Bray's feuded with since he became the Fiend has reverted back to an old persona. Cena's been kind of different. He was the Thugonomics, the Doctor of Thugonomics last year at Mania, and he's back to, with a purple t-shirt on or whatever color he's on at this point. But I mean, look at he's feuded with Finn, and now Finn's the Prince again. Feuded with Rollins, he went back to being a smarky heel. There's another one as an example I can't really think of at the top of my head, but everybody that's touched the Fiend for any sort of a prolonged feud is turned back into a prior personality. So it could be something to set up Cena for something next year if they do that. I'll take the Dr. Thugonomics back for Mania in LA.
How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, with Cena not being a full-time roster member anymore, and at least for the time being, and I think after the Bray's showdown in Hell in a Cell, I think a lot of people got kind of annoyed with Goldberg taking the title from the Universal title. So I don't think that they'll keep like shooting Bray down. I think they have to give him something at this point.
Yeah, it's the only way to rebuild him. He is one of their top merch sellers right now, and everything that's happened to him since Saudi has been just a big question mark.
Yeah.
I'm with Rossi on this. Even as a feel-good win, this has to be like, kids have to be watching this at home, either rooting for the Fiend, like Alcides' son, or bawling their eyes out because they don't know what happened to John Cena. So
and like no matter how you come out of this Mania, you're gonna have a babyface champion, because Goldberg's not gonna win. And from what we're hearing, we'll talk about it, but it sounds like it's gonna be Braun. Whether it's Braun or Roman that ends up with the champion with the title long term, they're both big time baby faces. They both have never really feuded with this format of Bray. So obviously Bray's going to be right back in the title mix coming out of this. So he can't lose.
Yeah. So that actually brings us to the Blue Universal Championship match, Braun Strowman versus Goldberg. As far as everything I've read, this is still not the official match because they haven't written Roman off of TV yet. Roman is not performing. Roman is sick. Or not, he's not sick, but he is immunocompromised, so that he is not going to wrestle. I am behind him 100% on that. There is no reason for him to do this.
Yeah, he worked longer than he should have.
Yeah,
I don't know if they would pull the trigger with Braun, only because it's the trigger, and this isn't one of them. I mean, as it is, it has to be a short match. Goldberg can't go more than 8 minutes, and if he goes 10, because with Braun needs some time to get going. Braun is, outside of those squash matches they had when they were first building him up after he left the Wyatt family, he needs some time to get going. The 8-minute match is not a good idea for Braun Strowman or for Goldberg. I think Goldberg comes out of this winning only to have Roman beat him once the dust is cleared and we're back to crowds in the audience.
I can't make a decision on this one because you want to say Braun's going to win because I feel like Goldberg, they've already kind of stretched him out a couple weeks longer than they should have. But at the same time, Braun was only in this match because he wasn't in any other match. So if he wasn't in another match, that means they have nothing for him and they don't really believe in him, in my opinion. So, I mean, how many times have they stopped and started with Braun, and then to think that they're just gonna, wave the wand and give him the title kind of would surprise me. But I also don't know if they can take the internet going crazy over another big Goldberg win.
Yeah,
it might work in their favor because if they're not going to have TV for a month or two, if Goldberg's a champion at that point, who cares? But like I was saying, I think you need to have the internet happy coming out of this Mania as much as you can control, at least. Obviously, there's going to be some outcomes, and the internet's going to be pissed off regardless in any outcome you have in one way, shape, or form. But I think that you got to get the title off Goldberg. So I'm going to go with Braun here. Your theory definitely makes a ton of sense, and it wouldn't surprise me. But I think that it's one of those things that Goldberg was just going to be done at this point regardless, and then you can go back to Braun and Roman or Braun and the Fiend, and maybe Roman just gets pushed back off for another 6 months to a year, and then you just, recoronate him next year.
Yeah. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, I just Goldberg just needs to retire. He's tired. He's old, and he's in good shape, but he just can't do it anymore. Just, let him go out on WrestleMania, and let this be in a retire match. I don't care.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's not so much that I love Braun Strowman. It's more of just bye Goldberg. Just go. Just stop. Yeah. Stop it while you still can.
The thing is, Fox loves the ratings that go. That's the thing, is that again, we're in a different time. The next couple of months are a very different time. I think and again, I'm sticking with Goldberg winning this only because it has to go to it's got to be Roman, and it might be SummerSlam when that happens. And okay, a 6-month title reign with Goldberg. It's tough. I'm with you, Rossi. I don't really know which way it's going to go. I have my feeling, and I just don't think they're going to pull the trigger on Braun, because at this rate right now, if they were going to do it, they would have done it earlier, and they would have done it with somebody.
I agree.
They would have done it with Brock. They would have built Braun off of Brock, and so if they can't build you off of Brock, what makes you think that they're going to build you off the Hall of Famer?
Yeah, I just feel like they can't let Goldberg get another big win over somebody that's. I mean, Braun's not young, but he's on the younger spectrum as far as their heavyweight title picture. So
yeah,
I'm not happy either way here. I don't like Braun as a champion, but either way, I don't think that whether it's Braun leaving it with the championship or Goldberg retaining, we're not talking a long-term run here. You've got. Obviously, the money feud is probably in The Fiend and Roman. And that probably would have been their plans all summer if this was a normal time frame. But obviously, it's far from it. They probably not going to be able to get to that by SummerSlam. So at this point, you might just have to hold that till Mania next year. So we'll see what happens. But I think that we got. I just hope Goldberg's gone. So let's get him out of there. Let's get Braun to the strap.
All right, so the final match, according to Bleacher Report, these match orders could change. The last match of the Saturday Night WrestleMania is going to be the Raw Women's Championship match: Becky Lynch versus Shayna Baszler. Mike, what do you think? I'm interested. I'm asking you primarily because I know you're not as plugged in as Mike and I, as Rossi and I are on this. And I'm just curious, who would you think is going to win this? It's not a trick question. I'm just asking, who do you think is going to take this one?
At this point, I'm just kind of flipping a coin. I kind of like Becky Lynch.
Yeah, it's not going to be Becky Lynch. She's taking time off. I think what they're looking at here, and I've heard some stories about this, is that her losing to Shayna needs to go back when she makes her comeback after she's had this. And I think it's going to be a humiliating loss. Now that they're pre-filming, this wouldn't have happened if they'd done this live, but now that they're pre-filming it, they can actually go back to that bite, and they could actually have Becky lose because she passed out due to loss of blood. At this rate, it could happen, but they just humble her. So when she makes her comeback and she's got the big redemption story, when she comes back, they can flash back and they can show all the stuff of her with the crown and the meme sunglasses and all that, and go, I lost sight of what was important. This was the only thing that was important, not being that person. I think that for Becky's character, she needs to lose. It's been a great year for her. She has been consistently the top performer in the entire company. They gave her the ball at WrestleMania. God bless her too, because that audience was dead. For a year, it's Shayna's time now, and I think that Shayna's going to have some really good matches coming up. And this is Shayna's reward for essentially having to take the L to Charlotte at the Rumble. That shouldn't have. I'm sorry, it shouldn't have happened. Rossi, how about you?
I mean, in reality, I wanted Shayna to win the Rumble, but then when it transitioned into the Rhea feud, Rhea's gonna look bigger beating Charlotte, who won the Rumble. Shayna's gonna look bigger beating Becky, and nobody will care about the Rumble at that point. So,
Yeah.
What I've noticed is a lot of this build's been geared around Ronda, and Shayna being Ronda's friend. I think if this was a conventional Mania in the stadium, then you might have had a Ronda run-in on this one. Because ultimately, when you look at the fact that Ronda's been gone for a year, it's going to get to the point that she's going to be back having singles matches again. So you still have the singles match with Becky with her, but even more so, you could have Ronda come back somewhere down the line and have Shayna turn on her, and then that's a huge money feud. So you've got to protect both of these girls coming out of this. Whether Charlotte's next for Shayna, that makes a ton of sense, and you've got Asuka that's there as well. There's a ton of good opponents for Shayna on Raw, so they're really going to be able to survive a Becky vacation or whatever she's got coming next pretty well.
Yeah.
Shayna also, you've got to push Shayna now. Shayna's almost 40, which a lot of people don't realize. I almost fell off a chair about 6 months ago when someone told me that Beth Phoenix is younger than Shayna Baszler. But it's fact.
Really?
It's fact. So when you look at things that way, like they've got to get a big run behind Shayna now, and she's the type of person that could win this title and carry it to Mania next year. When you get a returning Ronda, when you get Becky in the big match, whatever you want to do. But there's so many potential fresh matchups now with Shayna carrying this title. It's got to be her regardless of what Becky's next move is. So I think now's the time to get behind Shayna, and then kind of move on from there with seeing what you can get out of her, because she probably doesn't have many years left in the tank herself.
That's very true. Very true. All right, let's move on to the Sunday night part of the card here. Starting with, honestly, this match might have the second best build of all the Mania matches this year. Otis versus Dolph Ziggler. This feud has made Otis a friggin' star.
I'm bummed out that there's no crowd for this, because Otis would have been super over.
Yeah.
At the same time, it probably would have been a pre-show match in a normal Mania, just to kind of get that 6:45 pop out of the way. But I think Otis has to win at this point. Whether Mandy helps him, that would be how I would do it. I know I'd heard a couple rumblings that if this was a normal Mania build, they were actually going to do like a 6-man, which would have been Sonya turning on Mandy a month ago, and then having Mandy on the babyface side with Heavy Machinery against what would be Dolph, Rude, and Sonya.
Sonya and Rude.
Yeah, whether that would have been true or the other way around with the girls, I don't know. But I think that Otis has to win this. What's crazy, a crazy stat that I heard about this yesterday was this is Dolph Ziggler's 16th year with the company, and this is his first Mania singles match, and it's going to happen with no crowd. So talk about a guy that's just never been given the chance to shine when it matters most. I remember that Mania New York, Mania 29, when he cashed in the next night. That was probably the equivalent of a Mania moment to him. But this guy's always been a workhorse for him. I'm not the biggest fan of him. He's kind of gotten stale to me over the years, but he's been really good in this feud. He fits that asshole, steal your girlfriend type of thing that worked well in this feud. But Otis, like back to what I was saying, this is a feel-good story. Otis has to win this, and if Otis walks out holding hands with Mandy, then that'll be one of the better possible endings that we could get on this show.
That's a very nice sentiment. I don't think it's going to happen. I think they're going to hold off the Mandy Otis thing until they actually have a live crowd. This is begging for a pop. Otis is just beyond over. He really is. And after Elimination Chamber, I think Elimination Chamber really made both him and Tucker as viable as an over tag team. At first, I thought they were just going to be like the next Too Cool or the next Bushwhackers. but they are super over. I can see them getting the titles at some point. Whereas when they first came in, I'm like, these guys are, the crowd digs them, but I think they want to wait until there is an actual crowd.
I can see that.
For that reason, you give Dolph the win. You finally give Dolph the singles win, but it's in front of nobody. He walks off with Mandy or whatever, and then once you finally get a pay-per-view, once you finally get a crowd, I mean, they could legitimately build this towards SummerSlam with no issues, mainly because you can still put that the caveat of Sonya getting involved.
Sonya is definitely still lurking because she was involved last Friday on the backstage stuff that they were doing. So I don't know if she gets involved in this now. Obviously, they've been teasing the Mandy Sonya split for a little bit now. Even if you go back to the Rumble, Otis was trying to save Sonya after Mandy inadvertently, or the other way around, Sonya inadvertently eliminated Mandy. So this is like a soap opera angle, but it's gotten really good legs as far as TV time goes. So keep rolling with it one way or the other. But I agree. I think Heavy Machinery is going to be tag champ somewhere down the line. It's a really loaded tag division, but they get the best crowd reaction at this point. So why not?
Yeah. How about you, Mike?
I mean, you make good points, Andy, but I think if you don't give Otis the win at this point, it's just kind of mean.
Yeah.
Just kind of cruel. I don't care if there's a crowd or not. Just give him the win. I mean, Dolph, he's a worker. I've never been the biggest Dolph Ziggler fan. I get it. I just not a fan of him. But you know what? He's a worker. He'll be there. Otis deserves the win here.
Okay. All right, next up, Aleister Black versus Bobby Lashley. I'll go first. I say Aleister absolutely needs to win this if they're going to continue with his string of domination. Bobby is at this point, he's just kind of there. And I knew when they brought him back 2 years ago, he was just going to kind of be there. And here we are 2 years later, and he's still just kind of there.
Bobby's a sacrificial lamb at this point. He's only there to give Black a more higher profile win. Go back to, from everything I've been reading, it appears that the decision to go to Drew in the title run here and the Rumble win was down to the wire between him and Black. They just felt like Drew was more ready to do it. So there's obviously
Black can also fight in Saudi. Aleister can't. They won't let him do it unless he's wearing a shirt.
But Drew didn't even wrestle in Saudi last time, so it's weird. The Saudi thing it has legs for sure, but it's weird that the way they book those shows. But Black is going to have a huge run coming out of this. I think that he's not going to benefit from the fact that Drew's going to be the babyface champion, if not now, somewhere down the road. So Black's probably still going to be meddling in the middle for a little bit, but this guy's got as bright a future as anybody on that main roster. So, I mean, we saw it in NXT. Consistent, good matches, good crowd reaction, has a very unique feel to his matches that a lot of people don't have. And he's clearly a Paul Heyman project. So I think that this guy's going to have a huge future, and we could be talking about him in a WrestleMania main event next year. And this is going to be really his first big, high-profile, high-stage win. So you've got to have him dispatch a Lashley here, and I wouldn't even be surprised if it was pretty quick that he does it.
Lashley's not a great worker. I really think that because Aleister's got friends. He's got Triple H behind him, and he's got Heyman behind him. Strikers. And because he's a big dude, but he's skinny compared to some of the other guys. Like, he doesn't look like Bobby Lashley. He's just not that inflated physique. But yeah, I think that with if cooler heads prevail, you're right. He could very well be co-main eventing or main eventing next year. They just got to strap that rocket to him. How about you, Mike?
Another guy I'm bummed that we're not going to have a really cool Mania entrance for him this year, because he had one last year in the tag match, and it was like a run-of-the-mill entrance. If this guy was in a stadium, they could have done some really cool stuff with his entrance here.
I love his entrance. I love his music. I love everything about Aleister Black. How about you, Mike?
Yeah, Black wins.
Nope.
I mean, Lashley is he's milquetoast.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
but he is.
no, he is. It's just it's one of those things that when they strapped the rocket to him, that was back at like WrestleMania 23, and
he was Donald Trump's guy.
He was Donald Trump's guy, and he was still like, but it was just like, yeah, and you're fighting Umaga. All right, so next up on this, we have the NXT Women's Championship, Rhea Ripley versus Charlotte Flair. All right, Rossi, I'm interested in hearing what your thoughts on how does this go down?
Rhea's got to win. If Rhea doesn't win, then it would be probably the dumbest decision they've ever made. Charlotte doesn't need this. Charlotte's bulletproof. She's already got 10 titles or whatever. This is a time to use her star power to make somebody else a bigger star. When you look at this women's division in the WWE, it's really been the Horsewomen and Ronda for the last 5 years. There's really not been an attempt to push other people. Even when Asuka came up, she was, she won the title and she still, had a decent run to her, but she was always treated as a second fiddle. And the second they got that they could get Charlotte to take that title off of her, they did. It's time to start really digging deep and building other women's stars. And this is, to me, just a way to give Rhea a big win, elevate NXT. It's unfortunate that everything's happened the last couple of weeks because I feel like this feud could have built up even stronger if, you had NXT TV against AEW every week to keep, building this feud up with. Instead, they've kind of had lame duck shows, so they haven't really had a chance to. But this is 100% a situation in my eyes where Rhea wins this match, continues to carry on with the title, probably goes into some high-profile NXT feuds for the next couple of months, and then when they're ready to bring her up, she's ready-made to go. And then you're coming out of this show with two big new female stars in this company that you really haven't had for a very long time. So do I see a possibility where they give Charlotte a W because that's who she is? She's Charlotte Flair. Yes, but I don't feel like there's a fit or a need to do that at this point. And I think that they see that and they know that they have to do what they have to do with Rhea. And Rhea is going to very well by next year's Mania be right in the mix as maybe next year's Rumble winner or something along those lines. She's the next big star in this company as far as a women's wrestler goes. And she's like not even 25 yet. So the future is super bright. They can't screw this up.
Mike, how about you?
I see Rhea winning this, except for one possibility, and that's Vince's love for Charlotte and Flair. I mean, you can't say that Charlotte hasn't gotten wins before that she didn't need and didn't deserve.
The Rumble.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I mean, Vince loves Charlotte for unknown reasons for sometimes, and he is not above giving her a win that she doesn't need. So I don't think she needs this win. I think Rhea could use it, and I think Rhea deserves it. But if the Vince element comes into play, Charlotte's going to win it. But I think Rhea should win.
I'm kind of with you on this one, Mike. I think that there has always been this theory backstage that Charlotte, for whatever reason, still needs protecting. I'm not sure why. I think because it didn't go off as they expected. People turned on her. They gave her the Roman treatment when they started realizing, LOL, Charlotte wins. I feel like there is somebody backstage that thinks that even if it's a temporary thing and you give Charlotte the belt and put her on NXT for a few weeks just to goose ratings, just to spite AEW, regardless whether or not they actually get those ratings or not, I really feel like that might be the thing. It doesn't make any sense. She gains nothing from winning the NXT title, and Rhea loses everything by losing that title. I want to hope that cooler heads prevail with this one. But, we were saying this 2 years ago. There really is no reason for Asuka to lose that match. And here we are now. So.
Yeah.
All right. So up next, we got the Raw Tag Team Championship match. The Street Profits versus Austin Theory and Angel Garza, because Charlotte's fiance, Andrade, hurt his ribs again.
Yeah, man, this is a youthful match. Yeah,
What's
no,
that?
they're not going to beat the Street Profits. I don't think the Street Profits are going to lose, even if Andrade stayed healthy here. But I mean, Austin Theory is like 22 years old. Like, obviously, he's got a fan in Heyman already, which is good for him. It has a lot of like, he's got the look, he's got the feel. He doesn't have charisma at all. But this is going to be a good opportunity for him to get some good experience. Unfortunately, it's with no crowd, but still, the lights are going to be on for him. So Garza is, to me, like the biggest superstar they have for the next 10 years. That guy can do pretty much everything. He's shown that he can be a babyface and a heel in just his short time in NXT. And now Zelina is a gem. She's going to turn whatever she gets her hands on into something, important. But the Street Profits are awesome. They're not like a team that I was really sinking my teeth into until they won the titles, but they're really, they're able to do some fun stuff. They're energetic. The crowd's super behind them. They're both still under 30. I think they're both 29 now. Montez Ford is everything you want from a charisma side. And Dawkins isn't far behind with that either. So this is a really fun tag team, and I think they've got a super bright future, and this is just a way for them to get a big profile win. I think this was originally going to be like a three-way tag with maybe Humberto and Ray as the third team, but then Ray got put in isolation. So going this road is if hopefully they get time and they're able to, do a little bit of a shine to these guys. But regardless, this should be a fun, upbeat match, and I think Theory is going to be able to do some things and show himself off, but the Street Profits are going to get the W.
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think that Garza is completely set up for bigger and better. After this is over, once all the dust clears, the guy has just got charisma just oozing out of his pores. I love his heel work. He's just a natural heel. But you're right about the Street Profits. They're fun to watch. They're energetic. Montez is essentially he's a walking GIF. He's the one who does the rope shake, right?
Yeah, he's awesome. He's absolutely awesome.
GIF at this point, and it's awesome. Those guys also, by the way, are super over wherever they go. They were way over in Saudi, so it bodes well for them to have that kind of thing. And I really think that and I'm not trying to liken them for obvious reasons to the New Day, but they have a very New Day feel to them. So I really like what they're doing with them, and I really think that they take the W here. And it should be an excellent match because all those guys can work. Mike, what about you?
Well, don't you mean a walking GIF?
Shut up.
I mean, Street Profits, they just won the title. I think taking it away from them at this point wouldn't make any sense at all.
It would be dumb.
Yeah.
The biggest thing to look into with this match is like how they make Garza look, because I feel like if Andrade was still in this, they would have teased the split with them, because I feel like that's the move for Garza, is to kind of break off from Zelina at some point and get into something with Andrade by themselves. Garza's got so much. I love both of them. They're both two of my favorite wrestlers right now. Garza's got everything that you can ever ask for, and a guy his age is like 26, 27. So I'm very interested to see how they handle it. I see Austin Theory eating the pin here as the unestablished guy, but I see big things out of all four of these guys in the future.
Yeah, I genuinely don't think the purpose of this match is to see who ends up with the pin. The purpose of this match is just to see what each of their players can do and just demonstrate their talents.
All right, next up for the SmackDown Women's Championship, we've got Naomi versus Lacey Evans versus Tamina versus Bayley versus Sasha Banks. Mike, who do you think?
That's a lot of people playing in this one.
Yep.
You know what? I think Bayley will hold on to it.
Okay.
I I mean, twist my arm. I don't really have much backing that up, but just
Yeah.
it just doesn't seem,
I agree with you. And the reason why I agree with you is because I think she pinned Sasha. So that way you finally get a babyface Sasha versus heel Bailey, and you can finally start that program that we've been dying for since NXT.
So here's my theory on this match, and I've thought about it a lot because I'm a big Sasha fan.
Ooh,
We're definitely going to have Sasha as a babyface heading into SummerSlam. Her as a babyface in Boston, if we are lucky enough to go into the arena that night, and we can at that point. Her going into that show as the challenger to a champion Bailey is the best way to bring that back, and you can also play off the fact that their first big takeover match was a SummerSlam weekend. So now they've upgraded to the main show this coming August, again, pending coronavirus. So this is how I would do this. Bailey somehow gets into a situation when Sasha's about to win the title. Bailey sneaks around it, somehow gets into the win herself. Sasha stays loyal to her after that. Sasha continues to win matches on her own, and to the point that Bailey turns on her and kind of knows that she's the biggest threat to her title that there is. And then this is the feud that you get, for the bulk of the summer. And I like that they would have not wasted that singles match on this Mania, because as we know, Mania women's matches, especially when this is the third build one of the 4, I would say, it probably would have got 6 minutes on a normal Mania show. So if you save this for a SummerSlam and you give them the 15 that they're going to need to really steal the show, then they're going to do that. That's what these two girls do. They have, of any of the 4 horsewomen, Becky and Charlotte included, these are the 2 that work the best together. It's always been proven. It's just facts that they're magic when they're in a ring together. So there's going to be some sort of an element of Sasha's close to a win here, but Bailey ends up getting the win. And then, from there, I would see Sasha, having the big babyface run leading into SummerSlam, and they go from there.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, outside of the actual outcome of the match, I think the biggest thing I want to take away from this is that I really think Lacey Evans needs to go away for a while. This push has just been so ill-advised, and it's like the Corbin push. It just keeps going and going and going. I'm not seeing like the amount of improvement that has been warranted in this mega push that she's gotten in the last year. She's capable. She's very capable. She can do. So
she was a good heel. The babyface stuff has been super forced with her. And I mean, Tamina, has anybody ever given a single shit about a Tamina match? Like, why is she even in this thing? She must have just been one of the few that was willing to work. But why even put her in it? Like, it's unless it's somebody to eat the pinfall, who cares?
Yeah.
But Naomi will do some cool stuff in this match. Lacey Evans will do some cool stuff, but she doesn't have the crutch of her daughter in the front row, which is the only way she ever got babyface pops. So I don't think that I don't see anything in Lacey Evans. So the quicker she gets pushed to the back of the show and out to the main event card and dark matches is where I'll be happy with her.
All right, so the next match, a boneyard match, The Undertaker versus AJ Styles. There is no reason for Styles to not win this. He loses everything from losing. He gains a lot for winning. Taker gains nothing if he beats AJ.
If I may put in my thoughts first.
Yes.
Andy, look at your shirt.
Yeah.
And repeat exactly what you just said.
Yeah. The O in 20-0.
Yeah. It's Taker.
No, I'm sorry. He was 21. He was the 21st loss.
Yeah, it's Taker. It doesn't matter who's going against it, unless it's like a bigger monster than him. Vince is probably going to let Taker take the win.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
AJ and the club have looked like geeks this entire time, and it's AJ friggin' Styles. I mean, he is pound for pound one of the best wrestlers in the industry, and he has just looked like
Can you hear me?
Dork.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, I lost you for a second there.
Oh, okay, yeah, sorry. So yeah, I was just saying that.
I see
think
Andy
that,
is frozen right now.
oh, you see me as frozen?
There you go. Now I got you.
All right, great.
Let it go.
Sorry, yeah, this happens. Yeah, I was just saying that I feel like AJ and the club have looked like geeks this entire time. This entire push has been 100% Taker. When he came out in Saudi and just beat, it was even a choke slam, right? He just choke slammed AJ to win that match. He didn't even bother to take his hat or coat off just so he could win that piss-colored trophy. And it's just AJ has not looked good in this. So beating him is just like when Taker beat DDP during the invasion. It's just great. I hope your ego is enjoying this because nobody else did.
Yeah, I don't see any scenario that Taker loses. When you look at Taker's losses, it's Brock Lesnar and Roman Reigns. Those are the only two people that Vince has ever trusted the last 10 years. Basically, it seems like it. So I don't see any scenario where he's going to lose a boneyard match, which is pretty much going to be like a fake graveyard setup, I think. And I mean, especially with it becoming like a personal thing for Taker, I can't see him losing. AJ's kind of bulletproof at this point, so I don't really think that it matters if he loses. Taker is whatever. Like, I'm ready for him to be done. Like, if he really left after that Orlando match with Reigns, I would have been happy with it. It felt like the send off. I don't know why it wasn't. That sweet Saudi money came back and brought him back to us.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm happy with how they built this match the last couple of weeks. I like that it's Biker Taker from the looks of it, because we don't need to see we're not going to see a prolonged Taker entrance at this Mania anyway. So why not do a more realistic look at the guy? Taker's going to win this one. I'm not even questioning that once. I think that it's just a situation when Taker's going to win.
Yeah. At the end of this, if AJ does lose, they're rewarding him with a program with Drew afterwards.
Yeah, that's what I could totally see that. I could see, AJ winning like a number one contenders match quickly after this and getting into the program with Drew. But yeah, I just feel like this is going to be a situation whether I wouldn't even be surprised if McCool helps Taker in this somewhere because they mentioned her so much.
Yeah.
Which that would be all sorts of terrible as it is. I've hated that they even brought up that he has a wife, but it is what it is. Taker's going to win this.
Okay. Last match of the night. We've got WWE Championship. Drew McIntyre versus Brock Lesnar. I honestly think we've already kind of stated who is winning this match. If it's not Drew, then what are you going to do? Are you just going to put the WWE Championship on ice for another 3 to 4 months while they rally and figure out who is worthy enough to take down Brock? There's no point in not letting Drew win this match.
The only thing that I can see is that they don't want to give him that championship pop without a crowd.
That is very true.
It's kind of swayed my thoughts on that. I also saw today that ESPN's running like a Brock Lesnar marathon all day on Sunday. It's like all of his big UFC fights, his college wrestling final. They're starting at like 6 a.m. on Sunday. Obviously, ESPN would have some inside knowledge as to what they should be running that day. So I don't know. It seems weird if they do all of that and then he loses. Drew, I agree. Drew should 100% win. It's the time. I feel like if he loses, you lose all of the luster you've built with him the last few months. But it's such a Vince move to have Brock win. So I'm going to say Drew's going to win, but I'm saying that very cautiously.
Yeah. I also think it's going to be a very short match.
Shouldn't be too long, no.
Brock works better against smaller guys. He's always had a better run against smaller guys, and Drew is dude's a tank. He's a big dude, very talented.
Drew's the same way. Drew's always had. No, Drew's always had his best matches with smaller guys too.
Yeah.
So that's the route that I think that him and AJ will probably be a really good feud if they do that right out of Mania or whenever we have wrestling again.
Mike, do you have any thoughts?
who do I think should win? Drew. Who do I think will win? Remember what I said about Charlotte?
Yep.
And that Vince factor? Well, Vince loves Brock Lesnar.
He does.
Vince loves to do, like, everyone thinks Drew should win it. You know, Drew should definitely win this. So what does Vince do? Well, I like Brock. Let's have Brock win.
Well, it's also safer, too, to have Brock the win if there's nobody there to boo him.
Yeah. I mean, Vince has given Brock the win before when Brock has absolutely zero need for a win. And I could totally see him doing this again. I want Drew to win, but at this point, saying Brock will lose is not 100%.
There's never any certainty in it.
No, especially not when Vince is involved.
Well, and that is the WrestleMania card.
Forgot Edge and Orton.
Oh, Jesus Christ. I did forget Edge and Orton. Oh, my God. Which I
wouldn't be surprised if that actually closes the show.
Oh, God. That would be that would actually make sense. This match has had an amazing build. I wish they would take a quarter of this build and apply it towards half the matches on this card. There's no point in it not being Edge. And I want to see everybody. I want to see a lot of run-ins. No, a last man standing match means no DQ. So you could get Beth coming in. You could get the Hardys. You could at least get Jeff Hardy coming in. You could get Christian coming in. The one guy they haven't brought out yet.
Ryder and Hawkins too.
Just to
this has been like their only I feel like this is their only Mania match that's really had a prolonged build. I mean, if you look back at the Rumble, I mean, Edge's entire appearance was geared around the Orton spots, and then the stuff they did the next night. Orton, this is the literal best form of Randy Orton these last 3 months.
Yeah.
Super cerebral, dickhead, scary, almost creepy looking feel to him. This is the guy that, I wish we had for Orton, all year, every year. He is excelling in this feud, and it's obviously that my biggest knock on Orton the last couple of years is you can tell when he's not into a program because his work's flat, his work's ugly. He's been super sharp with everything here, and that's probably out of respect for Edge. And just the fact that they had a prolonged story, like when they did all of these run-ins, when they did the Matt Hardy thing, I was hoping that Matt Hardy got written off, and then they came in with Jeff, and then they came in with, Beth after that. That would have been cool. But no, obviously maybe they have plans for Jeff on SmackDown after Mania. But I think Edge is obviously going to win this match. I could see this being the show closer, which is why I kind of question on if I feel like the Drew Brock match might be the closer on Saturday, and then this be the closer on Sunday. But who knows? It's pretty fluid, it seems. Edge has been great. Even though it's only been backstage promos or Blink Arena promos the last couple of weeks, every time he's touched the mic, he's been fantastic. So I'm looking really forward to this match, and really bummed it's not happening in front of 70,000 people, because I feel like this would have been an electric crowd and an electric match. But we'll take what we can get with these two, and I'll be interested to see where Edge goes from here. He's got a lot of fun potential matches on Raw alone with, if you just say Rollins and AJ, you've got really good guys that he can dance with in the future. So very happy to have Edge back. This feud's been awesome, and I think that him and Orton are going to tear the roof off.
Awesome. How about you, Mike?
I think you give it to Edge, just out of respect of him coming back. And I think the very fact that you haven't seen Christian yet means that they're probably building up to a big reunion at the end. Christian comes in, helps him get the win, and then you have the Edge and Christian back together again. At least for the one night.
Yeah, or if they continue this feud, you bring Christian back afterwards. I'm just shocked they got him under contract. I'm just shocked they haven't brought him in yet. Yeah. Other than the fact that Vince hates Christian. So
I hate his face.
Hate his face. If you could just have him wrestle with a blue dot covering his face the entire time.
Yeah, but I mean, you can't deny that Edge and Christian were one of the all-time greatest tag teams.
They are in my top 3 favorite tag teams of all time. Yeah. I love Edge and Christian.
Yeah. So not having those two together with especially on WrestleMania, it would be a Vince thing to do not to have them together. But other than that, it would make no sense not to have them together.
All right, I think that is all the matches now on the card. So
yeah, I think you've got them all at this point.
Awesome. So yeah, WrestleMania Saturday and Sunday on the WWE Network. So like Rossi had mentioned earlier, if you have never subscribed to it, or you've got a burner email account, you can get a free month. So you can watch the entire thing for free. Rob Gronkowski is your host, not the Gronk, because only people who aren't from New England call him the Gronk.
Wait, so if you subscribe to WWE before, you don't get the free month?
No, that's just a new subscriber first free month.
No,
but you can unsubscribe and then resubscribe under a new email address.
I think I am subscribed like 3 years ago.
Yeah,
it's a burner. Just use burner email accounts.
I wouldn't be surprised if this is the last Mania on the network.
Yeah.
From the looks of it, they've gotten Fox Sports pay-per-view involved this year. There's talk of Vince. Vince probably would have sold the show to ESPN Plus at this point if the COVID-19 stuff wasn't going on. That kind of stopped anybody from spending money on anything. But I think that you're going to be seeing the major pay-per-views, if not just Mania, might be the big four on another service sometime soon.
Yeah, and that's going to make me seriously reconsider my my account.
Yeah, a lot of people, and I don't think that they even care at this point because they'll probably get paid more by that one sale than they get yearly from the network.
True. So anyway, that is our annual recap of WrestleMania. Rossi, thank you so much for joining us, man. I always appreciate having you on here.
No problem. Thanks for having me.
So what happened? There you are. Okay, I was
sorry.
All right, cool. So anyway, you can check out all of our awesome content here on our YouTube channel, Geek Salad Podcast. Mike and I also host a little podcast called Geek Salad. You can get us at geeksalad.podbean.com. You can also get us on the Podbean app, Stitcher, Spotify, iTunes, Google Music, and iHeartRadio. You can also get our audio stream right here on YouTube as well. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at Geek Salad Radio and on Facebook at Geek Salad Podcast. And this week, we just opened our TeePublic store. That's right. You can now get Geek Salad merchandise, T-shirts and stickers and coffee mugs and whatever your heart desires with our Funko faces on it, which I think is pretty awesome. So I bought one. Actually, I bought a couple of things. So can't wait to show those off on the thing. But yeah, so again, Mike, thank you so much for joining us, man. I really appreciate it.
No problem. Thanks for having me. We'll talk to you guys on this thing next year. Hopefully, we have fans in the crowd.
With a crowd, yeah, exactly. And until next time, I'm Andy.
I'm Mike.
Go forth and be nerdful. Talk to you later.
Bye-bye.
Oh.
Wow.